Debunking Russian propaganda, the truth about coup in Kyiv. Serious debunking Russian propaganda about Ukraine, part 1. Hello everyone, I'm Elina, welcome back to my channel Enough of Propaganda. Please like, subscribe, share, write comments. Let's make truth available for everyone. This is what helps to promote it on YouTube. Thank you. I'm tired of hearing from Russian trolls and so-called useful idiots from the West who seems to support Putin's narratives about so-called coup d'etat in Ukraine. Any of you say on NATO involvement in it and the history of Crimea. Here's what I have to say about this. I'm well aware about the definition of coup d'etat, and I can confidently say that nothing like that happened in Ukraine. Before we will even talk about coup or no coup, which in Ukraine or anything like that, we will contradict Russian propaganda with facts and proofs. And very recently, on 20th of October 2023, Bellingcat, the famous investigative team, and the Insider did big investigation. And the article of it, there is an article in English, it's written by Roman Dobrokhotov, Krista Grozhev, and Michael Weiss. It's called Exclusive: Inside an infamous Russian spy unit's first bombing in NATO. This is what it is about. In November 2011, GRU Unit 29155 blew up an ammunition depot on Lovinidol, Bulgaria, containing artillery destined for Georgia. It was the first known terror attack perpetrated by the team of hitmen and saboteurs who will later poison Sergei and Yulia Skripal in England, a Bulgarian arms dealer in Sofia, and blew up a host of other storage facilities and buildings across NATO territories. These operations killed or wounded dozens of civilians and led to the expulsion of Russian diplomats. But now the Insider has obtained travel records and leaked correspondence from members of that unit, of GRU Unit 2955, that points to their culpability in the inaugural attack in Bulgaria, and partly answer the questions why so many of these operatives have all gone on to occupy high-profile political positions in Vladimir Putin's Russia. This is an interview with Krista Grozhev to Popular Politics channel, made by the team of Alexei Navalny. I probably wouldn't show it to you, he speaks in Russian, so I don't think that would be useful, but everything what he said is in the article I showed you. What Mr. Grozhev is underlining that Russia is a terrorist state because terrorists who committed crimes in Europe, for example, got promotions, they get high-rank government positions, and they are part of GRU, Russian GRU. Definitely. It's proven. They traveled by the fake passports made up by GRU and FSB and Russian government. This article is in English. You're welcome to read it yourself. I want to point out several things. The bombing represents the first known act of war by Russia against NATO and EU member state, evidence of which the Insider revealed in this article for the first time. We will find out about bombs in Czechia, and blasts in Bulgaria. And it was happening in 2011, in 2012, in 2013, and so on. Georgia needed badly artillery shells, 152 millimeters. Isn't that sound familiar? That's what Ukraine need now. And the company EMCO was owned by Bulgarian arms dealer Emelian Gebrev. And what Russia did, Russia sent bandits, some of them were involved in the poisoning of Skripals in London later, and they made blasts, they blew up this storage facility. And not just that, and it was proven, the pieces of that detonator was found, that object, plastic explosive and so on. It was proven. They become braver and they start to do it again. Not only in Bulgaria, in Czech Republic as well. And this is the map which saying 12th November 2011, and then 2015, 2015, 2012, 2022, and even 2023. This is my channel, and I want to show you a few things in here. Ukraine once was a part of USSR, and it gained its independence in 1991. In a crucial referendum held in Ukraine, on December 1st, 1991, Ukrainians voted overwhelmingly in support of their independence. In this referendum, 84.18% of registered voters participated, and an impressive 92.32% voted yes for independence. Notably, 55% of ethnic Russians in Ukraine also voted for independence. They voted yes. Even in regions like Kharkiv and Lugansk, Donetsk, Odessa region, Crimea, which was lowest yes votes, as you can see on this map. Like, this is Crimea, and this is other regions. They still had substantial majorities supporting independence exceeding 83%. In Crimea and Sevastopol, 57% is Sevastopol and Crimea 54%, so it was less than 60%. But it still was majority. As I proved in my video, Just the Facts, the State of Ukraine, it's proven that it was a real referendum, not the fake one which Russia made in Crimea, in somebody else's territory. This was done in Ukraine, by Ukrainians, with all the necessary time, necessary effort, and so on. So this was a legal, real referendum. That is why everybody accepted it, include Russia, and Ukraine is an independent country. Even Putin is agreed with that, which I showed on my channel when he personally saying that yes, Ukraine is an independent country. He agrees with that. He agrees with borders of Ukraine and with Crimea as part of Ukraine. And here it is, playlist important to know about the war in Ukraine. Putin admits Crimea belongs to Ukraine. August 30th, 2008. And there is absolutely no point to talk about history of Crimea. Crimea was under Ottoman Empire's control, which is nowadays Turkey, since 15th century, for like 300 years, until the Russian Empire annexation in 1783. What's the point of discussing this? Many countries, including the USA and Canada, used to be colonies of British Empire, for example. So what? What does this matter now? It doesn't, and neither is Ukraine. Whatever history it has, it's an independent country. There is no point to let Russia drag people into the discussions about history, who was there, where, what belonged to whom. There is a law today and now. And by the law today and now, and decades ago, Ukraine is an independent country since 1991. Furthermore, Russia didn't even exist when Kyiv and Rus was a state. So what, now Russia is supposed to be a colony of Ukraine? What does it matter? There is no point in repeating Russian propaganda and delving into the history of Crimea. The internet remembers everything. And it's worth noting that Putin himself admitted that Crimea belongs to Ukraine in 2008. And I have a video of that. Nothing can justify an invasion of Ukraine. Euromaidan Protests started in November 2013. These protests were a response to then President of Ukraine, Viktor Yanukovych's decision to abandon trade deal with the European Union in favor of closer ties with Russia. Many Ukrainians, especially in the western parts of Ukraine, considered they were very upset about this, and they saw it as a betrayal of their desire to get closer ties with Europe, closer European integration. My channel is fighting propaganda and dispelling myths. And I want to talk to you about Russian military exercises. And I want to point out that before the Euromaidan protests in November even started, Russia and Belarus conducted military exercises called Zapad, which means West. It happened in September 2013. These exercises practiced a scenario where hostile forces took power in a neighboring country and removed the legally elected president. Kind of coup happened in the exercises. That's a hypothetical thing which did not happen, and even Euromaidan isn't even happened yet. Legally elected Ukrainian President Yanukovych still in power in Ukraine, in Kyiv. The exercises involved all sectors of Russian armed forces and prepared for the invasion of Ukraine. If you read this article, you will find out what kind of forces were involved. It was huge military exercises. They practiced all the scenario what happened later in Crimea. This is about 2014. You're welcome to read it yourself. And as I said, the preparation to the invasion of Ukraine was 2008 Georgian War. And this article also saying that it had taught a number of important lessons to the Russian armed forces. And that's how Russia prepared, and that's how and why Crimea was taken easily and without any losses. The first death in Crimea, as I said in my previous videos, happened only after Russia not only occupied Crimea, but annexed it in their mind into Russian Federation. And the first gentleman was killed, Mr. Kokurin, which was Ukrainian military man. Before that, nobody was killed in Crimea. Crimea wasn't bombed. Russian language wasn't a problem whatsoever. Only 4 to 6% of Crimeans was worried about Russian language in Crimea. So all of this were a myth. And Russia prepared it long ago, and Zapad 2013 military exercises was preparation for that. And when the coup didn't happen in Ukraine, there was no coup. Russia kept trying to push that agenda which they prepared and practiced for in these military exercises, for example. As I said in my videos about Crimea, and I just want to underline it because this is true, and this is one of the reasons which Russia produced as a reason to invade Ukraine. First of all, no matter what happening in Ukraine politically, who get elected, who didn't get elected, none of this is a business of Russia. Ukraine is an independent country, and they can elect whoever they want for how long they want. None of it is Russian business. Yet Putin keep pushing that idea about coup in Ukraine. It did not happen, period. There was no coup d'etat in Ukraine, in Kyiv, Ukraine, I mean. Putin tried to make it in Donbass, which isn't coup d'etat, as I said, it's a hybrid occupation. President Yanukovych, you can see him on the picture, was democratically elected in 2010. So he was legally elected Ukrainian president. The crisis started with Russian occupation of Crimea on February 20th, 2014, while Yanukovych was still in power. The Zapad exercises in 2013 happened even months before that. This is Wikipedia article on the agreement of the settlement of the political crisis in Ukraine, which was to be a set of documents which President Yanukovych at the time signed on 21st of February 2014. And the leaders of the opposition signed it as well. This is the pictures of them doing that. During signing of this agreement, and this agreement even happened by mediation of the European Union and Russia, Russia was present. And the purpose of the agreement was to reduce bloodshed at the Euromaidan demonstrators in Kyiv, which Yanukovych and his forces shot at Ukrainian people. And this was agreement to resolve the political crisis. And as I say, it was signed by Vitaly Klitschko, European leaders of the opposition, I mean, President Viktor Yanukovych and Arseniy Yatsenyuk and Oleg Tegnibok, This was the oppositional leaders. And it was witnessed by Foreign Minister of Germany in Poland, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, and Radoslaw Sikorski from Poland. And also by the head of the Department for Continental Europe of the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Eric Fournier. Vladimir Lukin, the special representative of the President of the Russian Federation, who participated in the discussions, declined to sign the agreement. But he was present. So this has happened, and it was witnessed by foreign representatives, include representative of Russia. In the evening of the same day, Yanukovych fled Kyiv. He ran away. He ran away to Kharkov, then Crimea, and eventually to Russia, abandoning his country during Russian invasion. Russia already invaded Ukraine, and President Yanukovych not just abandoned his country. When he stayed in Crimea, he was hiding on a Russian military base of the invaders who attacked his country. Only on the next day, on February 22nd, Ukrainian Parliament, Verkhovna Rada, voted to remove Yanukovych due to his abandonment of his constitutional duties. They couldn't find their president. He ran away. That is why country who was under attack from Russia had to do what they had to do. They put temporary man, Mr. Turchinov, in charge, which was legally elected person from legally elected by the people of Ukraine, Ukrainian Parliament, Verkhovna Rada, which was the only legal institution at the time left. He is Alexander Turchinov, and this is the big chunk of his interview I translated for my video about what happened in Crimea in 2014, part 5. Now let's say a couple words about Russian involvement. Russian forces, including FSB officer Igor Girkin-Strelkov, were already in Crimea on February 21st, 2014, before Yanukovych's departure. Russian troops played a significant role in the occupation of Crimea, and Girkin-Strelkov himself personally played significant role. It was around 73,000 Russian troops, regular army troops, taking part in Russian occupation of Crimea. The occupation continues for 2 days, while democratically elected President of Ukraine Yanukovych was still in Kyiv, in his chair of the President of the country of Ukraine. After Yanukovych's disappearance, Ukraine was left without president. At the time, country was under attack from Russia, as I said. The Ukrainian parliament chairman, Alexander Turchinov, became temporary leader of Ukraine. His role was defined under the reinstated 2004 constitution of the country. Acting Prime Minister Sergei Arbuzov was also missing during this period. Many Ukrainian officials and military commanders disappeared together with Yanukovych. Parliament made this decision based on extreme necessity and the threat to Ukraine's territorial integrity and sovereignty. The elections and any events in Ukraine, it's internal affairs. It is Russia who attacked Ukraine in 2014 and in 2022. It is Russia who annexed Crimea. It was not NATO, it wasn't United States, it was Russia. Claims of coup in Ukraine are unfounded, period. And even if they would have been real, it's not a Russian business. But there was no coup in Ukraine. It is not NATO, it is not United States who attacked Ukraine and annexed its territory. In 2014 and in 2022 and in 2023, still the war is still going on. The war Russia started in 2014 in Ukraine. In essence, the 2014 Ukraine crisis and the war there was entirely started and driven by Russia's actions, including its occupation of Crimea, and there is absolutely no justification for it, period. But before any Maidan ever happened, which was from November 2013 into Revolution of Dignity in 2014, and all the pretexts that, oh, Ukraine did something, NATO did something, Russia attacked Ukraine. And Russia attacked NATO way earlier, years before anything in Ukraine, like Maidan or Revolution of Dignity, even happened. That is why there's absolutely no reason to believe that anything Russian lies about coup in Ukraine, which never happened, or anything of NATO did, mean nothing. It's just made up story. As I said, elections are internal affairs of each independent country, which Ukraine is independent country. So why is Putin or his trolls trying to make a point about it? Why they keep bringing it up? The same thing why Russia is right now saying, oh, Ukraine lost a war, and keep repeating it. This is a KGB tactic called repetition. And it's not just a mother of learning, as I learned in Russian school and Soviet school. The repetition is a mother of learning. That's what we were taught. Repetition is also mother of brainwashing. The more often you repeat things, the easier people believe in it, because it's easier to believe information which you heard somewhere before than when you didn't. Even if you didn't read the article, you just saw a title of it and just heard about it, it means that it does give it somewhat legitimacy, which it doesn't have. No matter how much you repeat the lie, it's still a lie. And yet, not many people go in and bothering to verify the facts and check the truth, what it is true, what it isn't. That is why Russia using all the means of their propaganda to keep repeating lies. Ukraine had a coup. Even if they did, so what? What's business it to Russia? But they did not. And now they're using it about Ukrainian defense and failing Russian, basically failed Russian offensive, horrible losses in Avdiivka, but Russia keep repeating Ukraine lost the war, Ukraine lost the war. No point to support Ukraine, they lost. Ukraine is winning this war. Whatever Ukraine has done so far, it's a win in many ways. The fact that Russia can't use Crimea anymore, the fact that Russian fleet left, completely left. They can't even use big chunk of the Black Sea. They hardly can stick their nose out of the port of Novorossiysk and wherever is Russian fleet is right now. This is a win. But Russia keep repeating the narrative, just to make people believe in garbage which never happened. There is also no evidence of Putin claims about USA or any other country's involvement in Russia's aggression against Ukraine, or in Ukrainian elections. Enough of Russian propaganda. I have the facts and proofs on my channel of what I said. You're welcome to check it out. So please visit my channel for real facts and evidence, not Putin's and Lavrov's lies, which they invent as they go along. Everyone is welcome to use it. That is why I created my channel and these videos. I did it to educate people during a time of war. I did it to save you time in 9 years of your life to researching all of this. And this is how I'm doing my part to support Ukraine and help Russia to rid itself of the bloody dictator who wants to destabilize the world if he doesn't get what he wants, whether he's becoming the world czar, world's leader instead of the USA or European Union, or for his other delusional dreams. Thank you for watching. Until next time, learn the truth and stay informed.